Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But in a world filled with stress, uncertainty, and emotional turbulence, how do we actually achieve this kind of strength? How do we stay grounded when everything around us feels out of control? Throughout history, the Stoics mastered the art of emotional resilience. They faced hardships, losses, and even exile, yet they remained unshaken. What was their secret? A mindset built on discipline, perspective, and a deep understanding of what truly matters. In this video, we will explore 9 essential Stoic lessons that can help you take control of your emotions, navigate challenges with wisdom, and develop an unshakable inner peace. These aren't abstract theories, but practical tools that have stood the test of time. By the end of this journey, you'll see how simple shifts in perspective can transform the way you experience life. Whether you're dealing with stress, anxiety, or difficult people, these Stoic principles will serve as your guide. Before we begin, if you find value in these ideas, consider liking this video. It helps us continue sharing Stoic wisdom. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an opportunity to strengthen your mind and master your emotions. Let's dive into these powerful Stoic lessons and discover how we can all cultivate a mindset of resilience and clarity. Chapter 1. Understand what's in your control. Life is unpredictable. One moment everything is going smoothly and the next, chaos. But how do we stay calm when things don't go as planned? Imagine this. You've spent weeks organizing the perfect outdoor event. The decorations are set, guests are on their way, and the atmosphere is just right. Then, rain. Heavy, relentless rain that washes away your carefully laid plans. Frustration kicks in. Why today? Why now? But here's the question. Can you control the weather? What you can control is your response. You can let anger ruin the day or adapt. Find an indoor space, embrace the unexpected, maybe even dance in the rain. This is what the Stoics call the dichotomy of control, understanding what's within our power and what isn't. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and had every reason to feel powerless, mastered this idea. He couldn't control his circumstances, but he could control his mind, his thoughts, his attitude, and that gave him freedom no one could take away. Think about your own life. How much time do we waste worrying about things we can't change? Traffic, other people's opinions, unexpected delays. These are all outside our control. But our actions, our mindset, and how we respond, that's all us. The key is simple. Focus on what you can influence and let go of what you can't. Next time something doesn't go as planned, stop and ask, do I control this? If not, don't let it control you. Chapter 2. Reflect before reacting. Have you ever sent a text in anger and immediately regretted it? Maybe it was a quick emotional response to a misunderstanding or a heated reaction to criticism. In that moment, emotions took over, and before you knew it, the damage was done. Words, once spoken or written, can't be taken back. But what if you could pause, reflect, and regain control before reacting? Picture this. You're at work, and an email lands in your inbox. Your colleague questions your effort on a project, implying you haven't done enough. Your pulse quickens, your fingers hover over the keyboard, and your first instinct is to fire back a defensive response. But what if, instead, you stopped, took a deep breath, walked away for 5 minutes? Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the power of self-reflection before action. He wrote, "A quarrel is quickly settled when deserted by one party. There is no battle unless there are two." When emotions run high, we have a choice, to escalate or to step back and reclaim control. The ability to pause before reacting is not just a sign of emotional intelligence, it's a superpower. The Stoics practiced deliberate self-restraint, training themselves to observe emotions without being controlled by them. Instead of letting anger dictate your actions, try this simple practice. 1. Count to 5. This tiny pause creates enough space between stimulus and response. 2. Take a deep breath. Oxygen fuels clear thinking, helping to break emotional tension. 3. Reframe the situation. Is this worth my energy? Will this matter tomorrow? 4. Respond with intention. Choose words that reflect wisdom, not impulse. This practice isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them. The next time you feel anger rising, try pausing. You might find that what once felt urgent fades into something far less important. Have you ever held back a reaction and later been grateful for it? Share your experience in the comments below. Let's discuss how reflection can turn moments of tension into wisdom. Chapter 3. Practice dispassion. Have you ever been so caught up in an emotion that it completely took over? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a rude comment from a coworker ruined your entire day. It's easy to get swept away in anger, frustration, or even sadness. But the Stoics believe there's a better way: practicing dispassion. Now, this doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about observing them without letting them control you. Imagine your emotions are like waves crashing against the shore. You can't stop the waves, but you can choose not to get pulled into the tide. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, faced betrayals, political chaos, and war, yet he remained steady. His secret? He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let's say you receive an insulting message. Your first instinct? Fire back. But what if you paused? What if, instead of reacting emotionally, you stepped back and observed the feeling like an outsider watching a movie? By practicing dispassion, you learn to respond, not react. It gives you power over your emotions rather than letting them have power over you. This applies to arguments, bad news, and stressful moments. Instead of fueling the fire, you learn to stay calm, assess the situation, and choose your next move wisely. So, how do you start? 1. When a strong emotion arises, name it: anger, frustration, anxiety. 2. Remind yourself it's temporary. Feelings come and go like passing clouds. 3. Take a breath. Give yourself time before responding. When you master this, you'll notice fewer regrets, clearer decisions, and a greater sense of control over your life. When was the last time you practiced dispassion? How did it change the situation? Let us know in the comments. And if this resonated with you, like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Chapter 4. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Life is full of unexpected challenges. Some are small: a spilled drink, a rude comment, a missed deadline. Others feel massive: a job loss, a breakup, a failed project. But here's the real question: 5 years from now, will this still matter? Imagine you're running late for a big meeting, coffee in hand. Just as you reach the door, bam, the coffee spills all over your shirt. Frustrating? Absolutely. But will this moment impact your life in 5 years? Probably not. Now compare that to a major event, like losing a job or ending a relationship. These can feel like the end of the world. But even then, with time, things change. People move forward. New opportunities appear. The weight of today's problem fades. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, believed that most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from how we perceive them. He reminded us that time is the ultimate filter. What seems unbearable now often becomes a lesson, a story, or even something to laugh about later. Think back to 5 years ago. What was stressing you out then? Maybe it was an argument, a rejection, or a personal failure. Does it still hold the same weight today? Chances are it doesn't. Time gives us perspective, but we don't have to wait years to gain it. We can fast forward mentally. Next time you're overwhelmed, take a deep breath and ask yourself, will this really matter in 5 years? If not, why waste energy on it now? A simple shift in perspective can save us from unnecessary stress and overreaction. Instead of getting lost in frustration, we can focus on what truly matters. Think of a time when you thought something was a disaster, but now it barely crosses your mind. Share your story. We'd love to hear how time changed your perspective. Chapter 5. Keep a Stoic journal. Your mind is a battlefield. Thoughts racing, emotions clashing, doubts creeping in. How do you clear the fog? How do you make sense of the chaos? The answer is simpler than you might think. You write it down. The greatest Stoic of all time, Marcus Aurelius, ruled an empire, yet he made time to write every single day. He didn't write for an audience. He didn't write to impress anyone. He wrote for himself, to reflect, to learn, to grow. His private journal, which we now know as Meditations, was his way of disciplining his mind, making sense of challenges, and keeping his emotions in check. Now think about your own life. Have you ever had a bad day where everything felt overwhelming? Maybe someone's words upset you, or you made a mistake that stuck with you. But then, hours or days later, that same problem didn't feel as big. That's what journaling does. It speeds up that process of clarity. It helps you step outside your emotions and see things for what they truly are. Stoics believe that self-examination is key to self-mastery. Writing isn't just about venting frustrations. It's about observing yourself, spotting patterns, and learning from every experience. When you put your thoughts on paper, you see them from a distance. They lose their power over you. So how do you start? Keep it simple. Each night before bed, write down 3 things. What you learned today, about yourself, about others, about life. A challenge you faced and how you handled it. Could you have responded better? One thing you're grateful for, even if it's something small, like a good conversation or a quiet moment. By doing this consistently, you'll start to notice something powerful. You become more aware, more in control, and less reactive. Instead of being ruled by emotions, you become the observer of your own mind. And over time, this simple habit reshapes the way you think, respond, and grow. Have you ever written down your thoughts and instantly felt clarity? Try it tonight and see how it changes the way you see your own mind. Chapter 6. See obstacles as opportunities. What if life's problems weren't problems at all, but gifts in disguise? What if every setback, every challenge, every moment of frustration was actually pushing you toward something greater? The Stoics believed this wasn't just wishful thinking. It was a fundamental truth of life. Think back to a time when something went completely wrong. Maybe you lost a job, a relationship ended, or an opportunity slipped through your fingers. At that moment, it felt like a disaster. But what happened afterward? Did it force you to grow, to adapt, to take a different path, one you might never have considered otherwise? Picture someone who loses their job unexpectedly. At first, there's panic, uncertainty, but with time they realize that job was holding them back. Suddenly they have the chance to start that business they always dreamed of, to switch careers, or to finally prioritize what truly matters. What seemed like an obstacle was actually a redirection toward something better. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very thing you think is stopping you might actually be guiding you forward. So how do we train ourselves to see obstacles as opportunities? Reframing. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of seeing failure as the end, see it as a beginning. Every challenge carries a lesson, whether it's patience, resilience, or a new perspective. If you ever feel stuck in a difficult situation, remember, the problem is not the problem. The problem is how you see the problem. You can either let it break you, or you can use it as fuel to become stronger. Think about your own life. What was a challenge that in the end turned into an unexpected opportunity? Maybe at the time it felt like a dead end, but looking back, you realize it was just a detour, one that led you exactly where you needed to be. Chapter 7. Practice gratitude. Why do we always focus on what we lack instead of what we have? It's almost like a reflex. We dwell on what's missing, what went wrong, what we could have had, instead of appreciating what's right in front of us. The Stoics saw this as one of the biggest obstacles to true happiness. Imagine two people. One wakes up grumbling about work, dreading the long commute, frustrated by the endless emails. The other wakes up wishing they had a job, desperately searching for opportunities, longing for the very thing the first person takes for granted. The same situation, seen from different perspectives. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that happiness doesn't come from getting more but from wanting less. He believed that true contentment wasn't found in chasing external success, but in learning to fully appreciate the present moment. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." So how do we apply this in daily life? It starts with a simple practice: gratitude. Before reaching for your phone, before diving into the chaos of the day, take a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Maybe it's the morning sunlight through your window, a warm cup of coffee, the simple fact that you woke up today. This isn't just feel-good advice. It's scientifically backed. Studies show that people who actively practice gratitude experience lower stress levels, better sleep, and an overall boost in happiness. The brain starts rewiring itself to see the good more often. But here's where Stoicism adds another layer. Gratitude isn't just about appreciating the good. It's about accepting everything, even hardship, even discomfort. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced war, betrayal, and personal loss, still wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Gratitude isn't just about what's pleasant. It's about using everything, even struggles, as fuel for growth. So ask yourself, what's one simple thing you appreciate but often overlook? A moment, a person, a privilege. The truth is, someone else out there is wishing for the very thing you have right now. Don't let it go unnoticed. Chapter 8. The power of negative visualization. What if, just for a moment, you imagined losing everything you hold dear? Your home, your job, your health, even the people you love. Sounds dark, doesn't it? But what if I told you that this simple mental exercise could actually make your life richer, fuller, and more meaningful? The Stoics believed that to truly appreciate life, we must first confront the idea of losing it. This practice, called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, wasn't about dwelling in fear, but about preparing the mind. It's about realizing that everything in life is temporary, and in that realization, learning to treasure every moment. Imagine 2 scenarios. In the first, you lose your phone. You feel frustrated, annoyed, maybe even angry. It throws off your whole day. In the second, you lose someone you love, a friend, a parent, a partner. Suddenly, that lost phone seems utterly insignificant. This contrast forces us to ask, what actually matters? Seneca advised practicing voluntary loss in the mind before it ever happens in reality. He said, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived them coming beforehand." By imagining loss before it happens, we don't just prepare ourselves emotionally, we actually deepen our appreciation for what we have. Here's how you can practice negative visualization in a way that enhances your daily life. Before you take a sip of your coffee, imagine for a second that you could never have it again. How much better does that first sip taste? Before you kiss your partner goodbye, imagine that it's the last time you'll ever see them. How much more love do you put into that moment? Before you complain about a long workday, imagine what it would be like if you lost your job entirely. Suddenly, Even the hard days feel like a privilege. The point of this practice isn't to make you sad or fearful. It's the opposite. It's about teaching your mind to appreciate the present fully. When we assume that the things and people in our lives will always be there, we stop valuing them. But the moment we recognize how fragile everything is, we begin to see its true worth. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire and faced unimaginable challenges, would remind himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't morbid. It was empowering. It pushed him to live fully, deliberately, and without regret. So ask yourself, what's one thing you never want to take for granted? A relationship? Your health? The simple joys of everyday life? Take a moment to picture losing it. Not to scare yourself, but to feel its value more deeply. Because the truth is, everything we have is temporary. But in realizing that, we learn how to truly live. Chapter 9. Develop an unshakable morning routine. How you start your day determines everything. Imagine 2 different mornings. In one, you wake up late, check your phone first thing, rush through breakfast, and barely make it out the door on time. In the other, you rise with intention. Before the chaos begins, you take a moment to reflect, set your mindset, and prepare yourself mentally and physically for the challenges ahead. Which version of you will perform better? The Stoics understood the power of a structured morning. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the busiest man in the Roman Empire, believed that how you wake up sets the tone for your entire day. Instead of sleeping in, he rose early, gathered his thoughts, and reminded himself of his duties. He once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?'" He didn't roll out of bed dreading the day ahead. He saw it as his duty to be productive, to serve, and to improve. And so should we. The morning of a modern Stoic. If the way we begin our mornings shapes the rest of our day, then how can we design a Stoic morning routine that makes us mentally stronger, more focused, and more resilient? Let's break it down. 1. Wake up early. Before the chaos begins. The world is quiet in the early hours. No distractions, no noise. This is when your mind is sharpest. Waking up early isn't about punishment. It's about giving yourself time to start on your own terms, rather than reacting to everyone else's demands. 2. Cold showers, a Stoic's test of discomfort. Why would anyone willingly take a cold shower? The Stoics believed in embracing voluntary discomfort to build resilience. Seneca practiced this by occasionally living as if he were poor, even when he wasn't. A cold shower first thing in the morning trains your mind to embrace discomfort, stay disciplined, and build willpower. If you can withstand the shock of ice-cold water, you can handle anything the day throws at you. 3. Journaling. Organizing the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal every morning. He wasn't writing for anyone else, just for himself. His meditations were his way of setting his mind straight, reinforcing his values, and preparing himself for whatever the day had in store. Your journal doesn't have to be complicated. Each morning, write, "What do I need to focus on today? What challenges might arise, and how will I handle them? What kind of person do I want to be today?" This small practice will clarify your thoughts, remove mental clutter, and keep you on track. 4. Deep work before distractions. Most people start their day by checking their phone, emails, or social media. The problem? You begin reacting instead of creating. Instead, set aside time each morning for deep, focused work. This could be writing, studying, problem solving, anything that requires mental clarity. Guard this time fiercely. The rest of the world can wait. How a morning routine changes everything. A chaotic morning leads to a chaotic mind, but a disciplined morning creates a disciplined life. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle often comes down to structure and habits. The Stoics knew this thousands of years ago, and the wisdom still holds true today. The question is, how will you start tomorrow? Will you wake up and drift through the morning reacting to whatever happens? Or will you take control, set the tone, and prepare yourself like a Stoic? The choice is yours. But remember, your future self is shaped by what you do today. Final thoughts. We've explored 9 powerful Stoic lessons that can help us master our emotions, build resilience, and navigate life's challenges with wisdom and strength. But here's the truth. Stoicism isn't just about learning philosophy, it's about living it. Think back on everything we covered today. Understanding what's in your control, pausing before reacting, seeing obstacles as opportunities, practicing gratitude, and starting each day with an unshakable routine. These aren't just ideas, they're tools. They're meant to be used, tested, and refined through daily practice. The Stoics didn't just talk about resilience, they embodied it. Marcus Aurelius led an empire while facing constant hardship. Epictetus, born into slavery, rose to become one of the greatest philosophers of his time. Seneca, surrounded by political danger, still found wisdom and peace through reflection. They proved that Stoicism isn't for the privileged. It's for anyone willing to take control of their mind and actions. Which Stoic lesson will you apply first? Ask yourself, what's one Stoic principle from today's video that you're going to start applying in your life right now? Will you start your mornings with discipline and purpose? Will you reframe obstacles as stepping stones? Will you stop stressing over things outside your control? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts, your challenges, and your personal Stoic journey. Keep strengthening your mind. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing. We post content to help you think deeper, live stronger, and master your emotions like a true Stoic. Also, don't stop here. Check out our other videos where we break down more Stoic wisdom, historical lessons, and mental strategies that will push you toward a stronger, calmer life. Like this video if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay disciplined, stay grounded, and keep applying Stoic wisdom.